I feel like the reason we use so many female avatars is because they're more expressive. They're cute. At least that's for me. I like to be more cute than the male avatars that you can find that are just muscly bodybuilders. The female avatars are just better to look at, you know. They're more expressive. It's fun.
I think that's a pretty simple question, really, because there are high quality avatars, and the only real male avatars are all crappy e-boys or massive femboys. There's no like middle of the road average guy. Like I personally, if I wanted a male avatar, I would just want like an average looking guy, like in a suit or something. But there's just nothing like that. It's all baggy pants, baggy fucking hoodies, fucking emo looking hairstyles, stuff like that. Whereas the female avatars, they actually build a lot better. They just look higher quality overall, and there's a lot more variations. You can find something that feels more comfortable, like whether it just be the clothing is more average clothing, or you still have like the e-girls, which is like strippers, but then you have something like this, which is like kind of like almost middle of the road, but a little bit provocative as well at the same time. That's what I think anyway.
I think it's mostly because it's something that you probably was spending a lot of time looking at, mostly. Because you want to look at something nice. That is what I think is the main idea about why people are using a female avatar, especially males. Well, the male avatars are, I would say, there are two bags. One is they're just big, bulky, like overly inked pieces of muscle, or they are an e-boy. And then you have another that is everything else, but that one is just like a tiny pebble inside the whole thing. I mean, if there are some okay looking male avatars, but in general, I do think they are very far and few in between. And when it comes to female avatars, once again, it back up to the first question. That is, it's more easier on the eye to look at and control. Like, what am I using?
VRChat avatars, the male models in VRChat are usually like bad quality, and it's not really what people wanted out of avatars. Like I remember when I started playing and I joined a friend of mine, they took me to like a world with like avatars, and there were a lot of like these e-boy, like wolf boy, like emo avatars that looked nothing like what I liked, and then I ended up picking something really generic. As VRChat kind of kept evolving and people kept playing, people just wanted to, I guess, look good, and a lot of the good-looking avatars, the faces, the models, used to be just females, and that trend just kept going, right? So I think it just sort of evolved into that. And also, I think it's because there's this, obviously, the whole culture with VRChat, there's a lot of, like, the whole ERP culture and everything like that. People want to look good in a female avatar because people are into femininity, is what I think. People don't want to ERP or look at a male model the same way they look at a female model, right? So that trend just kind of kept going, and yeah, that's about it.
I mean, I can just talk out of my opinion, and it's just because I don't want to like look differently in game. And you know, all the avatars, the male ones, are like heavy, like six pack and build up and everything. And I don't need to look like that. Like I look differently in real life, right? I don't want to look like a big ass man in game when I look like different outside. That's why I just use a female avatar. I think maybe like people just don't like the male avatar body and like boobs or something more. That's kind of just what I think.
At first of all, we have to remember that VRChat and all the VR games are games, and so most people that do play those games are extremely nerdy to have VR headset and whatnot, and even like full body and whatnot, like we have. And so most of them are gamers. Looking on that, we have been using female characters in a lot of video games for a very long time. One of the first one that I can remember, oh yeah, because by the way, I'm old. Uh, for example, Lara Croft from Tomb Raider on PS1, so you were obviously playing the character Lara Croft, right? You were playing as a girl in the game. And a lot of games are like that. And a lot of games where you can choose your character in the game and you can personalize it, like a lot of MMORPGs or just RPGs, like, I don't know, Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls, yes. A lot of people, even if those games, will play as girls, regardless if the actual player is a girl or a guy. Why? I don't have the answer, like psychological answer. One reason might be just because as a guy, since I'm straight, I might like look for more quote unquote attractive or good looking characters. I think it might be one of those. In VR, you actually are your character, like from your point of view. You are inside the body you choose to wear, quote unquote. Even maybe some people can try to imagine what it is like to be in a girl's body and having parts that we men's do not have and such. And I'm not saying that essentially like in a naughty way or whatnot. It's just to maybe see the world, how people interact with you, just depending on what avatar you wear in this game. But yeah, maybe that's one point of why people are using mainly female avatars. For my personal case, for a long time I tried to remain in the male avatar section because I am not transgender. I'm a dude and I'm straight even, so I'm quite a boring guy, normal guy, no boring guy. For VRChat avatars and avatars in general, and like in 3D modeling and whatnot, I'm still not a great 3D modeler. I'm definitely not a pro. And if you want to have a good looking / not too shitty avatar, let's say, sadly a lot of them are either female or if you want male versions, like in my personal research that I did, avatar that I was looking for were either female or very e-boy looking with a lot of muscle and whatnot. I'm definitely not into that. So yeah, I ended up crushing under the weight of I choose between those billions of female avatars. That might also be one of the whys of why people are using mainly female, because if you don't want to do any kind of tweaking yourself, 3D modeling yourself, recoding stuff yourself for this game, a lot of stuff that you can either find for free or buy for avatars are widely dominated by female avatars more than men. And again, the few male avatar that you can find are a lot of times very e-boy looking, and it's not my liking.
I mean, VRChat is just a nice escape from normal life. It's the place you can go to just chill out and try and forget about the worries from your day, I guess. At least how I use it. It's a nice escape and chill room. Just to get your empty mind.
I understand what you mean. Some people do that, but they let this take over what they need to do for normal responsibilities. So what I mean by that is they will literally live in here and not do anything else. They forget about the fact that a stable life, you need to have a job for income. You need to have some kind of stability, so you're not completely, reliant on others. Mostly younger people forget about that. They forget that they're relying on usually their parents around them, and then they just do this all the time, and that is not healthy. That is a bad thing to do, in my opinion, because you still need to be self-sufficient and stable in the real world. Obviously, you're doing that, and it's not affecting you negatively from living a life perspective, but you spend like quite a lot of time in VR, that is the another side of it, which I think is perfectly fine. I'm biased because that is kind of where I am. You've just got other people that are just casuals that kind of just get out for an hour every few days or something, which is what it is. It's not taking over life at all. Like they're doing other stuff. But I feel like you're on about the first two more than anything. The first one, like I say, is probably a bad way to do it. You need to focus on life outside of VR as well. Now, that's not to say that the friends that you make in here are not important, because they are, but it needs to not just be in here. You kind of need to socialize with them outside of here. Whether that be just like hanging out in a voice chat or something, or playing games together, other stuff besides just here. Because in here, a lot of it becomes let's drink or let's watch movies, and that's all you do. Or just sit in a mirror for hours on end, not really doing much. So socializing outside of here as well is a more healthy way of doing it. And ultimately, like having group get-togethers is a good thing, because then it makes it a real social aspect to the whole VR chat, as opposed to just I'm this avatar, this is all I am, I'm not anything else. That's just so unhealthy, I feel.
That is a really hard question for me to answer, what each an individual person is thinking about VR chat, especially what they're using it for. I mean, some are definitely using it for just the games that are in here, and some are using it for just meeting new people around the whole world. I mean, it is probably, I would say, one of the better kind of games that that can connect people from Asia, from USA, from Europe, all into just one mixed pot at the same time. That is what I would say is probably the best part of the VR chat, is just the social aspect, that you can just meet a lot of people. The bad part is when it comes to people that take it maybe a bit way too seriously, if I say so. It can maybe sort of affect their life in real IRL, if I say so. And I mean, I don't know which ways it can affect, but I mean, I've heard stories on the internet about people pretty much being so much in VR chat that they've cost them their job. That can be a thing, but I just try to keep it as balanced as possible, even though I might slowly creeping up on 1,700 hours, so I shouldn't be the one talking too much about that, but I'm trying to do other things outside.
I can tell you also from my personal experience why I started doing this, because I never really thought I would get into a game like this. I didn't really play social games or anything like that. I would just be on PC and game and clear single player games, play multiplayer games with friends. It never got to something like social games, but I think what changed for me, and when a lot of people started playing VRChat, was around COVID. Because during COVID, a lot of people felt lonely IRL and they were isolated. They wanted something, some substitute for their social life that now was a bit more stagnant, didn't really exist anymore because of COVID. People had to be isolated. And it was my case as well. Like, I worked in a tech company. Every day I would have to go to work, and then all of a sudden they sent me home. They said, okay, you have to work from home now. Because COVID, you just have to work from home. And at the time, I didn't have a client I worked for. I had a company that paid my salary. I didn't have work to do, let's say, so I went home. I would just stay at home, wait for my job to basically give me directions or say like, okay, you can go on this interview with this client, whatever. So I was isolated at home. I felt pretty lonely and I needed a substitute for it. And I saw one of my friends from Steam was playing VRChat, and I started asking them, okay, why, like, what is this game? Like I've seen it a little bit on YouTube. Can I like try it and join you? Do you recommend it? And then I sort of started playing it. And I feel like for a lot of people kind of like me, it kind of took over a big part of my life. Like it did for me as well. And the reason is a lot because of that. It's because sometimes in real life, you don't really have the same social experience that you have in this game. I feel like I can tell you from my perspective, like, we all look a different, like we have a different perception of people here. Like I look this way here, but for instance, you and the people that will be watching this video, most of them don't even know what I look like in real life. But I can tell you that no matter how people like me or dislike me in this game, or people perceive me in this game, it's completely different from IRL. Like I'm not really a social person IRL. I'm not really that outgoing. And a lot of people end up playing this game and taking on a second life, and this second life ends up being something they prefer and they enjoy more. And they make friends that are more in tune with what is like tastes of like people that are like gamers, people that are online a lot, which is also my case. Like a lot of the people I met IRL don't really tend to my tastes as much. They don't like I've met a lot of people in my jobs IRL even after college and stuff like that, and very few of them kind of stick with me for a long time. So in this game, when I meet someone new, 90% of the time it's someone that I can talk to for a long time. I can do stuff with them. I can watch like movies, I can play games, I can watch anime, I can do all of these things that IRL, if I find someone, there's a big chance these people will not have the same tastes as me. So I think one big reason is this. It's people in this game are more alike to people like us that are like chronically online or gamers or whatever it is. And then there's the other aspect, which is not so much my case. It's the whole aspect that you here can be physically and visually anything you would like to be. That's why in this game there's so many people that are in the LGBT community. There's a lot of people that identify themselves as trans. They see themselves as the other gender. And here they feel like validated. They feel satisfied when they see themselves in a mirror. They see like, okay, this is something that's more akin to the reality I want to live. And they are living in this fantasy that maybe it's not completely real, but it satisfies them. So people keep playing. Is it healthy? Maybe to some people it's not. There's a lot of people in this game that kind of goes away from the point, but there's a lot of people in this game that are alcoholic. There's a lot of people here that kind of get into vices and a lifestyle that's not healthy. When they put it together with what they do IRL, it kind of can ruin their lives if people are not mentally sane. They don't have their life in check. So it can be dangerous, but I feel like this can be a really good hobby, and I'm really happy I played this game and I still play this game because it changed me a lot. It made me a better person in a lot of ways, and I want to keep playing it and meeting new people. And I think that's the big advantage of this game, is that it can feel like a second life. It can feel like it's something completely different from IRL. To me, it's like an extension from real life. I get to connect with people on a different level here and get to meet different people that I don't really meet IRL, different types of people. And if you have your real life in check and you have a healthy, like you don't spend like 24 hours in this game. Most people don't because their trackers run out, right? But like if you don't spend all the fucking time in this game just laying down, looking at a mirror, drinking, whatever, like you have a job, you have like a family that you talk to, you have friends that you talk to, you have something that doesn't make you go crazy and like think that this is like the only life that matters, I think you're fine. Nothing in life you should do too much. There needs to be balance with everything. I think it's the same with VRChat, right? So yeah, conclusion, I think this is a great thing. I love VRChat. A lot of people do it because it's an extension to their life, which is good and brings benefits to them. They kind of become someone like me. Like I changed for the better because of this game and the people I met here. I think it can be amazing. People should give it a try. But like everything in life, you shouldn't do everything too much or make anything an obsession to that point where it will ruin your life and like your family or everything, right?
I think some just have like problems making friends or something like that in real life. And that's why they do it in VRChat. It's like a lot easier, I feel like, to talk to people here, because you're not really like talking to them face to face, because like there's no really face tracking if you don't have it, and most don't really have it. And like I don't know, it's just game is just a bit different. That's why it's like for some second life. I know some probably just had problems in real life as well with family or something like that, and they just want to kind of run away to VR. To be fair, I don't really get it, because like I don't play this game because of that reasons or something like that. And I didn't really meet like a lot of people that had like issues or anything. They just play like to meet new people and talk to others. Because it's like a lot easier to meet all over the world people, right? And talk with them. And for example, like talking with you right now wouldn't be possible really like that. And I mean, today, like in these years and all that stuff, like there's a lot of people that like want to get rid of like their body type, right? Like for example, like males, they want to be like female, and it's just a lot easier to start doing that in VR chat if you don't have the money to do it in real life, right? Also, like people accept it a lot more here than it's in real life, like a lot easier, right? I think that's why a lot of people like try to escape here as well.
A lot of people are using VRChat as a second life. I'm gonna put it in quotes. Why do we say second life? The people that I'm talking about are either playing day and night in the game, like spending a lot of time in the game, which is bad for your eyes if you're in VR, if you want to know, but that's another point. And why are they doing it? My guess is a lot of, personally, I never met someone that was that much into the game, so I don't have any personal example to give. But I did hear stories about people that were doing that, and I saw other videos talking about it on YouTube and whatnot. I think one of the reasons might be either because the real life of those people are either very lonely, because for whatever reasons in their personal group life, they either don't have a lot of friends, or their friends moved away. Maybe sometimes stuff happens in life, you know, and maybe they found another connection to socialize through VR and through VRChat. And why VRChat more than any other? Just because it's the main platform for doing that. There's others obviously, but for now the main user base is on VRChat. And yeah, I'm guessing one kind, quote unquote, of those people can be the ones that either doesn't like their lives in the real world, or just doesn't have enough interaction with people in the real world. And so they go to VRChat to have that. Some people might use that avatar that they wear as they prefer to look that way, right? And so they might feel better to be in this world where they like look like I don't know, like a lovely anime girl like you are, for example, because I don't know, because they found it cool looking or nice, and they have good interaction with people with it. I'm guessing there is that. And the last point, it will come back at some point. I lost it. Whatever. The anonymity that gives the perks of the internet of being anonymous, I'm guessing, is giving those people, or some kind of people like me, for example, the courage to do that first step of breaking the ice. Because worst case scenario, you just leave the room, the guy just know your pseudonym, not your actual name. They don't know where you live, they don't know what you look like, etc., etc. So you can just put it on the side and forget it, like we had in World of Warcraft with just chat communication, right, with all the players. But there was an entire community behind it, just like we have in VRChat. And yeah, people were having a second life in the game, just like any social game / social platform online. I'm guessing VRChat is definitely not the only one doing this, but the entire game of VRChat it revolves around sociability and talking to other people. And the cool thing on Bonus, since it's online, you can talk about with people in other countries, having other point of views on the world, opinions and whatnot, which is I think it's interesting.
Sleeping in VRChat it's a weird topic. Some people do it because it just feels nice, compared to just sleeping in your room and having nothing there around you if you're alone, you know? I like it because I have some background noise or other people out there. This feels more cozy.
So a lot of people in VR are very introverted, I would say. Like, they're not the most outgoing people in general. That's not to say there aren't some. VR is more of a comfortable way to socially interact with people without the higher risk of going to a random bar kind of thing, which is obviously good for introverts, which then leads on to the next point, where humans being social creatures, they do like other humans around them. And if people are very introverted, and which they can generally be, they are, like I say, in VR, they generally are. It's not easy to have people around you in that kind of a vulnerable state, or getting to the point where you're comfortable enough with people in real life that it would be comfortable to like nap on a couch with someone. Whereas in VR, there's no real pressure for anything. So like if you get uncomfortable for whatever reason, you can just instantly bop, you're out. Real life you can't really do that. So it makes it easier for people to approach sleeping in like for the comfort of social interaction at the same time. It makes them more easier in to trying it, and then they realize that it's actually kind of comfortable having people around them, and then they do it constantly. That's what I think about it in general. However, for me specifically, it's nice to have someone there close by when you're asleep. Just sleeping with someone else makes it more comfortable. You feel less alone in general, I guess, was what I would go for.
When it comes to sleeping in VR, I would say, for me, I probably would not recommend it because I mean I have dozed off myself and my neck has paid the price. If I say so, I was stiff in the neck for like at least a week after I fell asleep in VR at one point. I wouldn't probably recommend it, but for people who want to sleep in VR, it can be various reasons to why you sleep in VR. Probably you just want to have the background noise from a world, like with some music playing, and maybe you and a friend just decide to doze off together, like you're just laying there, just talking with each other until you just doze off. But sleeping in VR is definitely not recommended, so I would rather take off the headset and head to my bed and sleep there instead.
So I've tried it. I've slept and napped in VRChat a bunch of times. I think napping usually is better for me. Like if I fall asleep for a little bit and then I'm just like sort of like dozing off a little bit, but like actually sleeping the whole night is something I've never really done completely. Usually what happens with me is I sleep and at one point I wake up either because the headset is hurting my face or because the lights start bothering me. Even if I'm in a dark place, like there's always like light in my eyes that kind of bothers me, or it gets to a point where it's like, okay, I am not comfy here anymore. I'm going to turn off VRChat. I'm going to go to bed. Or if I'm really, really lazy to go back to my bed, I just take the headset off and I sleep there. Like usually I play on the couch, on my couch here. So I just take the headset off and I just sleep here and whatever, right? So for me, it never really worked out that much other than napping. I like napping and dozing off a little bit when I'm tired. I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, sleeping in VRChat helps me sleep better. I don't know exactly why those people say that, but there's a lot of people that tell me this. I don't see the benefit of it. I think it's only bad for you because you're sleeping. Obviously, headsets are different, right? Everybody's going to have a different experience. I have an Index, and before this, I had a Rift S. To me, they were both not comfy. So I never really got good sleep in VRChat, and sometimes the VRChat would just like time out during the night, and it's like, what's the point, right? I can see the benefit of people doing it if they want to sleep with someone else next to them and they see the other person there and they're like, there's this closeness. Like the VRChat is the closest you can be with a person without it being IRL, so you can feel that comfort. Okay, maybe you're in a relationship and you're with that person right there and it's like, oh, this is nice, or like you fall asleep like watching a series. I can see that being nice, but as far as it being good for you, I don't see how it can be good for you physically or mentally, because again, you have lights blasting in your eyes, you have a headset cramped against your face. I don't think there's any benefit for it. You have something in your face that's like tightened. I just don't think it's the healthiest thing. But I would love to hear like people that are like into VRChat sleeping, why they do it more. I only know a few, so yeah. For me, I think it's not really for me so far, but yeah, it could be for some people. Maybe there's a good reason for it.
I sleep in VR sometimes as well. But I just do it because like I'm close with someone sleeping and I can just feel them like next to me laying there, right? And it's like a lot nicer and less cold, I guess, if you like sleep with someone in VR. I mean, there's also people I met that can only sleep like this is with the VR, right? They can't sleep outside. Don't really know why though, but there are people like that. But for me, it's just because I feel like someone is like next to me and it's like nice to know you have someone next to you sleeping as well. You kind of just feel warmer, right? I think that's like a lot of people sleep in VR like that. They just feel like the people around with them. If you don't really have like friends in real life or something, it's nice to do it like that, right?
Well, I can think of many reasons, but personally, I never did it. It happened to me like to ooze off a bit, right? To be a sleepy in VR, right? To go fully to bed, I remove the headset and I go to bed. Why I don't do it personally? It's because I'm super scared to break my VR headset. Those stuff are expensive, and I don't have the money to pay another one every week. So that's one reason why I don't do it. The second reason is personally, I would feel like it's uncomfortable. Obviously, depending on which VR headset you have, or if you're not even in VR, because obviously if you're not in VR, then no problem on discomfort. If you are in VR and you have a VR headset on your head, if it is one with a cable or not, first of all, it's a problem because you have to think while you are sleeping if you're moving a lot or not, if the cable will be pulled and whatnot. Again, that's my paranoid side of I don't want to break my VR headset and whatnot. Also, some VR headset has earpiece, obviously, right? So that you can hear the game, but those earpiece are movable. So if you push on it too hard on your bed or whatnot, or on your pillow, it might break it as well. So yeah, I never slept in VR. I'm guessing some people also like the company to sleep with someone, even if they are obviously not physically there with them. There's just the simple fact of knowing that someone is also sleeping, quote unquote, next to your avatar in the game is reassuring for some people, I'm pretty sure. If they are living alone and they're lonely, I can understand that they like to have someone to sleep with, right? So I'm guessing that's one of the many reasons why people does it in VR. Within VR again, you are inside your character, like you are your character, so you are seeing yourself sleeping next to someone. Like some people have the phantom sense, but it is an actual thing within VR. A lot of people, sadly not me, I never experienced it, but a lot of people can feel touch in VR. Those people, when they can feel touch and be fully immersed in the game, I can completely understand why they want to cuddle with a virtual friend or even a stranger. Like you said, a lot of people even do it in public instances with people that they don't even know, having someone to cuddle and fall asleep on the night.
With people on Orange, the status system is weird for me. I really don't like people that are just on Orange status forever. For me, when you're on Orange means that you're busy. So I would never properly like request an invite or stuff like that from people on Orange because you never know what they're doing. I'm always on either green or blue because why not? If I'm in private, of course, then it means I'm in private, probably doing stuff, but you can never guess when people are on orange. It's kinda annoying seeing half your friend list is on orange whenever people are online. You have nowhere to go. I don't like it.
I hear the excuse that, oh, I don't want friend groups to interact with each other because I don't want drama. It's like, that is such a poor excuse. I hear your excuse and I call it a shit excuse because they can be adults and not be fucking cunts about it. If I have a friend who I like and I have another friend who I like and they don't get along, if they join me and start giving me shit about the other friend being there, they can fuck off. It's not my problem that they can't get along. They can be cordial and because they're not coming to see each other, they don't have to interact with each other at all. And that's why the excuse of having, oh, I don't want different friend groups to mix, is such a poor excuse. The other one I hear a lot is I have friends that are, the best way to phrase it is very adult, and I have young friends too. In that case, you don't need to be on Orange all the time. If you're going to hang out with specific adult friends that are drinking or whatever, for example, and obviously you don't want to expose kids to that, then yeah, okay, Orange temporarily. We're actually doing those activities. But when you're just getting on to watch a movie and chill, There's no need for it. The adult people are adults. They will recognize there's a kid there, and they will act accordingly. It's kind of like I can understand the idea of going orange if you've got groups of different ages and you're worried about that, but it kind of only works one way, because you don't want kids joining you when you were adults doing adult things. But when you were kids, I mean kids like older teenagers, like you would just hang out and watch a movie kind of thing, which is fine, whatever. Just chilling in the public world. There's no reason you can't have your older friends join you and let them just be adults about it, because if they're not going to be responsible adults, then why are you friends with them anyway? If they're going to act inappropriately around kids, like drinking, smoking, encouraging that kind of behavior, they're not very good adults. They're not very good friends, if you ask me. That's my opinion. The other thing I hear is, I mean, I don't even know why a lot of time people on Orange, they don't have excuses. They just, all you get back from them is, oh, just request, I'll accept. Like, if that's the case, why are you on Orange? There's no need to be on Orange if you're just going to accept every request anyway. Orange, it should be used for a very specific reason. It should be used for, like I said, if you are going on a drinking night, but you have a lot of younger friends because you just hang out and chill, yeah, you probably should go on Orange, because they shouldn't be joining you on drinking nights, because it's, you know, exposing them to alcohol. I would say abuse, but it's not abuse. It's just, you know, adult hanging out, drinking. Adults tend to talk shit when they're getting drunk. This is just a fair argument. So I understand it for that. Personally, I'm always on blue because I'm in a social game. Therefore, I'm actively seeking to be social. However, I do feel that orange is overused solely because people use it as an excuse. I don't fucking know. I really don't know. I'm never going to understand why people are permanently orange. I hate it. I literally have a tally system, so if I get ignored or don't get people never bloody reply. If they accept invites, that's fine. If they don't accept the invites, half of them don't ever reply. So you don't even know if they've seen the message or what. And because of that, you end up sitting there for like an hour requesting off someone, waiting for a potential reply. 5 minutes later, another one, same issue. Another one, same. You waste an hour just asking like 5-6 people. And then by that point, you're like, why am I in a social game? I've been studying on my own for an hour trying to join people to talk or just hang out. And it just becomes so stupid. Like I was saying, I personally have a system where I will tally. If I hit 5 with this is only if it's like no replies, no response at all. If I get 5 in a row with no replies, no response, and their status doesn't say they're asleep, so it's very clearly on me that I know that they might not reply, that's an unfriend, because what's the point of having a friend who you never get to hang out with? And they actively try to block it by being on orange and ignoring.
Okay, so I mean, blue and green is pretty much self-explanatory. But blue is more of saying, hey, come and join me, while green is saying, the door is open, you can come in if you want. But when it comes to orange or red, I mean, the only time I'm on red, or most of the time when I'm on red, that is when I'm just doing testing and I don't want to have a lot of people just trying to say, hey, this user wanna join you, this user wanna join you. It is a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to orange. It is pretty much saying, please knock on the door before you enter. It's what I would say orange is, but people being constantly in orange, I mean, that is pretty much telling that I don't want everyone to join on to me, so I want to be more with some people that I want to be with, or I want to just chill alone with someone, or come and join me instead. Like, hey, can I join you? That deal.
I think a lot of it, and I'm kind of at fault for this as well. I started doing this more recently. I tried to still be on green and have people join me because I think it's nice to just hang out with a lot of friends than to kind of lock yourself into just being on request, or worse, like there's a lot of people that just are on orange and then they just don't accept invites and just do their own thing. I think a lot of it is because people have really big people, especially people that have been playing this game for a long time, have really big friends lists, and people get to a point where their experience on green is not the best. And what I mean by that is, like, people get joined on by people that they haven't seen in years, which is fine in itself, but like sometimes I feel like people don't want to see certain people. They just want to hang out with like the closer friends, so they kind of try to they go on Orange to basically pick and choose who they want to join them. Sometimes they don't want to see some people, and I think that's why people kind of stuck to that. I think it's not really a good thing. Like, I've noticed, especially recently, that when even like on Fridays, on Saturdays, which is when I get on more often, people often are busy, or they, even when I request, a lot of them don't accept me, or they reply to me saying they're busy or something like that. And I feel like people get really like isolated. I feel like a lot of people just do their thing with one person or like very few people. The whole like big group thing kind of fell off a little bit. If people want big groups, they now you have like the group system in VRChat. You have like you join like if you're trans, you join like Trans Academy or those groups like, and where they have like their own events, their own communities, whatever it is. So people kind of look into that to get like those group hangouts. But I feel like people that are on their own, they kind of tend to go away from green and go on orange so they can pick and choose who can join them. And I just think it's just like a natural evolution of VRChat. I don't think it's necessarily good, because it kind of, in a way, beats the point of what VRChat should be, which is a social game. A lot of people kind of isolate themselves just to do their own thing, and yeah, it's just natural evolution of the game. And yeah, I think it's I'm at fault for it as well, but it is what it is, right? No.
I do see like my friend list as well that a lot of people are always on orange. For some it's just that they kind of just want to monitor at who like visits them, right? So that not everyone can just join all the time them in the world, because maybe they have some friends that are annoying and they don't want to always like see them, right? It can also just be like because they're doing something private, for example, like taking pictures, because a lot of people have Twitter and stuff as well, right? I mean, for me, I'm mostly like kind of on green or just on orange if I want to be private. That's why I do it. And like also just met people that are, I know they're always sleeping, for example, or just ERPing, I guess, or doing anything, and that's why they're on orange. I mean, for the people that you in like are on orange and you never see them again, well, don't really know why, because I don't see them either and can't ask them, right? I mean, these people exist, but they probably have their reasons. But like, I don't know. I'm not like one of those, so I can't really say why. I just know I do it when I want to be private. And that's why I go on orange. Otherwise I would be like on green or blue.
I'm gonna guess that people knows the system on how VRChat works and the ranking system and the status system that you can have. So basically, very quickly, in VRChat you have different ranking system depending. I'm doing a very shortcut here, but basically on how long you have played the game and on how much you have contributed. I'm gonna say the word, to the community and to the game and how it works. One of those steps to get moving in those ranks is adding a lot of friends, having a lot of friends, going into public worlds and spending time in the game. Doing so, you may add a lot of people as friends that you barely know, or you have known for like one night in a party. They were very nice that time, but you see them 2 years after and you don't even remember where you met and why he was a good person, and you added it in your friends list on the first way. All of this is my guessing, by the way, because personally, all people in my friend list, I'm trying to know everyone in my friend list, even if, again, it's not always possible. Some people play the game a couple nights and then never play again for a couple years, and maybe they will never again, so who knows, right? Because a lot of people have a lot of friends that they barely know, some people stay in orange. And so, again, reminder, when you are in status orange in VRChat, it means that none of your friends can join the world where you're in, except if they ask you first to join you, if they can join you. I'm thinking the main reason is the people that stay in orange is because they have way too much friends that they don't know, quote unquote, and so to not have a bunch of people barging into an event or just a friendly chat that they have with someone. They remain in Orange just to have the safe of mind, right? To be like, oh, okay, I can be fully in comfort mode and not worry about anyone joining into the session, right? Is it a good or a bad thing? I guess we can see it with both eyes. If you see it from the eye of the friend that is just trying to join his friend, right? Like for example, maybe right now I have some of my friends that wants to see me and they can't because I'm in Orange, but at least I'm remaining in Orange, so I will see if someone wants to join me. So you can see it from the eyes of the friend that is trying to join, and then they're like a bit bothered because except if you don't specify, because you can change, that's a fair point to point, you can change the status, what the status says. For example, right now I think I'm saying something like, I'm here but I'm busy, so that people know why I am not answering, for example, if I had any messages from the friend that is trying to join me, for example. You could see it as a bad thing, like, oh, he's playing a social game, but he's always in Orange, so I can never join him. I can understand why people are pissed about it. Personally, I'm trying to remain in green, so again, explanation, green, it means that everyone can join you whenever they want, if you're not in a private instance. I'm trying to remain in green because again, I know personally most of my friend list. I don't see it as a bad thing from the exterior point of view. Like if a friend is in Orange and he doesn't answer, then I'm knowing he's busy or he having, I don't know, technical issue as well, because again, we are on the internet, so technical issue can happen. Is it a bad thing or a good thing? Again, personally, I don't mind. I'm letting you judge if good or bad thing. It is a feature. Would VRChat should do it better? Maybe, if you wish to get through the ranking system that VRChat has. The fact that you have to just add people just randomly just to advance in those ranking system, maybe they could change something about it. Is it a bad thing again or a good thing, the ranking system? Debatable. So all of that to say, should we have the ranking system? Maybe some other solution could be better, but to be completely honest, I don't have the perfect solution either on the top of my head. Give me a couple days to think about it, maybe I will, but for now I don't have it. And so, if we didn't have the ranking system, would we have the problem of people always remaining in Orange for not having those bunch of random friends that they added at the time? Maybe not. Who knows?
Stuff with like relationships in VR shadows. It's a difficult topic, but it's something that's super possible. I know people that met each other that are married and have kids now, and they met through VRChat. I'm with a boyfriend that I met in VRChat right now. It is possible. It's a bit different from, of course, normal world where you go and meet each other at a bar or whatever. you get to know the person in a different way in here. I think it's definitely something that works. No, maybe not for all, but for some it does.
I know friends that met their partner in VR and now they're married, which is great for them. It's very, very good for them. In fact, it just shows that it can. Like I say, it's a social game. Therefore, it's just a social environment. It's just a very different one to real life. Ultimately, it comes down to the people you meet. People in VR chat tend to be very introverted. That means that the likeliness of something actually developing into something in the real world is somewhat slim. On top of that, you've got the compounding issue of different nationalities. So it might be great that you meet someone that you really like and then you start dating in here. But ultimately, if they're across an ocean, that's not very practical to becoming anything more than just being in here. So that is a very big consideration. Because I have friends that have dated like that, and then ultimately it fell apart because, I don't know, it just felt they put up reasons. And then when they met someone else in a similar situation, that they're so on the fence about potentially pursuing it. because of the previous time where it fell apart and the fact there's an ocean in the way, so it makes it even harder. Because ultimately, it is a very big commitment of time to date someone in VR when you know it's going to take a long time to get to a point where you're going to meet, generally speaking. Because, like I say earlier, people are very introverted, so the meeting thing is very, very, very scary to them, and they put it off for a long time. Personal experience is that was my problem, which is why I fell apart. Because even though I was very reserved about doing that kind of relationship, especially when people weren't in my country, I know I'm not going to move to a different country, and it would be very double standard of me to expect them to move to my country. So unless it naturally progressed to that on its own, I wouldn't pursue any kind of romantic relationship with someone in a different country. So when I met someone in the same country as me, and I did pursue it a little bit, it became apparent after a very long time that I just don't think they were interested in actually meeting up IRL, because every time I brought it up, there was always an excuse. And then at some point, the excuse changed, which might be fine for them, wasn't fine for me, which is why I think a lot of the VR chat relationships fall apart quickly. Ultimately, one person will want something more tangible, and the other person is just happy with the status quo of being in here. I would be happy if something like that did naturally progress and work. However, I think it would be a bit of a very lucky result.
I have not been in a relationship in VR chat, but I have been in a long distance relationship off VR chat, but that was a long time ago. But I can think a relationship in VR chat, if say you both talk outside and within VR chat, that bridges the relationship from two long distances together into a much shorter one. I mean, I've seen couples still keeping together even to this day. I mean, even friends of mine have moved from two different countries into one country so they can be together. So I think dating in VR chat could work, but that's pretty much just a flip of a coin if you ask me, because it might flop or it might succeed, as with pretty much any kind of dating. I wouldn't rely on it, but it is definitely a good tool for it.
Obviously, VRChat is a social game, and obviously with social stuff, people will get attached to other people. Even if this is a virtual world, the people behind the avatars are real, like the relationships, the connections are real, so it's bound to happen in a social setting like this where people will get closer and closer and some feelings will develop and then relationships will develop. When I started playing this game, I didn't really think my perception of things would change so much in terms of like how this game kind of made me to be. When I started playing this game, it was very goofing around, joking around, playing around in desktop. Like obviously I started in desktop personally. It's really interesting how a game that's specifically tailored to social interactions can make you so attached to people when you delve into it and you get really attached to the game and you play the game a lot, which I did especially back then. I played the game all the time, especially in desktop. I think that's natural, of course, because you get close to people. I've been personally in 4 different relationships in VRChat. I think that I learned a lot over the time I've been playing this game. I've been playing this game almost for 5 years. I learned a lot from it. I dated 3 guys and 1 trans girl, and when I started, I didn't really consider myself to be bi or pan. So this game definitely changed a lot in the perception of that in my life, and it kind of translated into myself in real life. In that way, I think, like I said before in the other question, I think this game makes you learn new things about yourself and people, and it's a good experience. And for me, it definitely was a good experience, but not everything was like good moments, of course. I think a lot of people in this game, when they get into VRChat relationships, it can be a really bad thing. I can give you an example. So in this game, people, and this probably happened to everybody that played this game for a long time and got into like feelings with people and relationships, you kind of lose track of reality a little bit, because obviously everybody in this game uses avatars. Everybody in this game looks a certain way. Avatars are meant to look good and to be perfect in body and outfit, everything. So it's very easy to get lost in someone's avatar and voice, and this happened with me in the beginning. People need to be aware of the consequences that comes with toying with people's feelings, let's say, right? Because yes, you can get into a relationship, it can be consensual. I've met a lot of people in this game that are not completely sane of mind, and what I mean by this is a lot of people that ended up playing this game are people that are at home a lot, maybe too much, and a lot of these people sometimes are not the most sane of mind or didn't have the most experiences IRL when it comes to like social experiences, romance experiences and things like that. And it's very easy to hurt people's feelings if you're not careful. A lot of people, even to this day, they get caught up on feelings and then they go into this relationship, but they're not really aware of what the other person exactly wants. I feel like a lot of people, when they get into VRChat relationships, they still think this is just a VRChat thing. Maybe people want that, but I think it's so unhealthy for two people to be in this, in something that is just stuck to this reality. Like, you're not really getting to know this person for who they are if you just keep this in the game, if that makes sense. For me, relationships are sacred. For a lot of people, relationships are sacred. If I'm getting into a relationship in this game, it has to be with someone that I have intentions of meeting IRL and starting something that will be more than just this game. Because this game is a game, yeah, the people are real, the feelings are real, but it's very easy to get stuck in here and just be lost in the fantasy, because this, in a lot of ways, is a fantasy. So people sometimes are not aware of this, and then feelings get hurt, and it happened with me in the past, and I've hurt people in the past as well, unwillingly. I think if people communicate and they know from the other person, like, okay, this is exactly what I want out of you, and this is what you want out of me. Like, if people say, okay, I want this to be an actual thing, this is an actual relationship, it's not just VRChat relationship. If people talk these things through, then it's no different than having a relationship on an online dating app or meeting someone through Discord in some community. Obviously, it will take a lot more work than a relationship that starts IRL, because you need to break this barrier of moving into IRL, right? Like, you can really like someone in this game, but then when you see someone IRL or you meet them IRL, and that whole experience will be completely different. And there's so many people I've known in this game that went into a VRChat relationship, and when they went into IRL, and I swear this happens like over 90% of the time, people meet IRL and then there's nothing. Like, people meet IRL, it's like there's nothing there. There's no chemistry. Like, they don't like the way the other person is. It's not just about physicality. Sometimes it's like the way they are, like personality-wise. IRL sometimes can be different. This happens so much. Like, I've seen this happen so much. My opinion is, if people want to have something that's VRChat only, they can, but they need to communicate that with each other and have something that's like, just here, whatever. Like, this is not meant to be something that will take IRL. It's just like a thing that we're having fun in the moment kind of thing. But I don't think that it should even be called a relationship in my idea, because for me, relationship is something that needs to be more, right? To answer your question, VRChat relationships can be good. You meet a lot of nice people in this game, people that are like you, let's say. It's a really good growing experience, even if you think it's not like an IRL relationship. You will learn just as much, if not more, from something like this, because it's such a different experience. For my standards, I need to know what that person looks like IRL, for instance. Like, I need to know, okay, you look like this, I look like this. Like, even if it's like a video call or something like that, something needs to be established that it's like, okay, I want this to be more than just what we have in this game, right? I think that's the only way it can be fully healthy, if people want to have a real, actual relationship. I feel people are very impulsive in this game. Like I said, there's a lot of people that drink on the weekends. People do very rash things in this game. People kind of get lost in the fantasy, and people need to be more aware of, these are real people, right? This is a game, but the people are real. Like, you can hurt feelings. People need to be very careful about that. There's still people out there that are manipulative. Like I can tell you like very quickly, like in my first VRChat group, there was this person that we met, was one of the first VRChat full body people I've ever seen, because it was back in 2020, not everybody had full body. This person got into our group and they were really good, I guess, socially, like talking and charming, that they got very close to a lot of people, myself included. And what ended up happening is I started getting feelings for this person, and more people in that group started getting feelings for this person as well. And this person started to have really close encounters with us, like talking, like I got really close with this person, and this person basically told me like they like me, and it started to become something that felt like, okay, there's like we have feelings for each other. But it turns out this person was a big manipulator, like basically a psychopath. And what happened is they begun to have not a relationship, but something really close with multiple people. This person was seeing 3 different people. I was one of them. And it got to a point where people in the group started hating each other because of this person, because everybody was so obsessive over this person, myself included. And nobody knew that this person was playing everybody. Like this person was like manipulating everybody. So it got to a point where we found out, we all got into a call, the 3 people that were affected, we got into a call. I was really afraid at that time because these people were really close friends to me at this point. Like we had a really nice group, and I was really afraid, and we were all like heartbroken basically at that time because things were going like horrible. We were hating each other. And then we figured out, okay, this person is behind our backs, getting flirty, getting intimate with all of us without telling the other people, and saying like, you're the only one for me. He literally said this to me, like, you're the only one for me. These other people, like, I don't care about these other people. You're the only one for me. We should start something soon, but I need more time. He would say this to all of us. Like, it was awful. But at one point we got together in a call, all 3 people that were affected. We went to him in a world where he was in a Friends Plus, and we confronted him. And we basically removed him from the group, and he deleted us, we deleted him, and then the group kind of went back into what it was before, and things started to become better, right, again. But this is to make a point, is that, yeah, feelings are real, people in this game are real. Don't take this as, this is just a game. No, you will get hurt in this game if you go in too deep with people. Temper your expectations with people, communicate with people. I think that's the most important thing in the whole world for me, is you need to communicate with people, especially when it comes to feelings with someone you care about. Tell them how you feel, what you want out of a possible relationship that is online, and try to create something that's healthy, that's real, not something that's just bound to the confines of this game, which is partially a fantasy, and work things out from there. Don't fall into impulses, and yeah, temper your expectations with people. So yeah, VRChat is great for all types of relationships, whether it's friendships or romance. But yeah, I think you need to have your expectations tempered, and keep in mind that people can hurt you for real in this game if you get way too close to people. So the most important advice I can give is just talk to these people, tell them what's on your heart, what's on your mind, and figure things out if you want to move on to something more than just a friendship, or something like a close friendship, whatever it is. So yeah. To answer your question, it can be good. It can be amazing. You can meet amazing people in this game. You can have a relationship that will last the rest of your life. But going from VRChat into an actual relationship, you need to take big steps. And because you need to take big steps, and it's a lot of work, you need to talk to people, to this person that you're into, whoever it is, and figure everything out before you jump into something big that can hurt you or can hurt the other person. Yeah. And I've learned this lesson a lot by playing this game. So.
For me, I'm dating like for the first time in VRChat, and kind of outside of VRChat as well. I don't know if I can recommend it or not, but I mean, if it happens, it just happens, right? Then you shouldn't just deny it because it's like a game. But you should also just make sure it's like not only in VRChat, but like outside as well. Because I think like dating only in VRChat in the game is kind of, in my opinion, stupid, to be fair. Because it feels like it's not really like love in the air then, or something like that, if you can say it like that. Outside of VRChat, it's kind of like you know how it is there. It's just you're together, you're meeting each other, blah blah, not cheating and everything. And what I just realized, like in VRChat, it's like hard to do it. And you have to really like know yourself if you can do it or not. Because there's like literally not really some like personal space, if you can say it like that. If you're like not a person that likes like if other people or like boyfriend, girlfriend, or it's just your partner, like for example sleeps in VRChat, like with the other question, and he does it with like other people, it's just kind of normal, you know, because it's VRChat, it's just the avatar and it's like so fast, or the guy can just walk up in VRChat while you're sleeping and then lay next to you like face to face, and for example, right? It's like completely different in real life, because there it would like never happen. No one would always like sleep with your partner, for example. It would just not happen. You just have to be like the person to know like the difference a bit between the game and the real life. If you're like, if you want to date someone, it's, yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of difference. To be fair, for me, I'm kind of like always a bit scared about it, because there's a lot of lewd people as well in VRChat. And like I say, without the personal space, it's like happens so fast. He could just walk up to you, start licking you all over and everything. Even if the other person doesn't like it, it still instantly happens. He needs to walk away again, or block him, or tell him, or whatever. And there's always assholes and stuff like that. I mean, I don't, except for these parts, if you know it and you also talk with your partner, for example, like what you don't like, what you like, and it's like the same like real life, I guess. You have to talk about it as well there. Kind of, you know, nice to have a person that, you know, looks at you and like is always close with you. You have always a partner to like hang out with, get all the hugs in. You can, I don't know. For me, I like it, you know, but I would just not only do it in VRChat. I would also do it in real life.
I am a bit biased on this question because my now wife I met on VRChat and we met online. So yes, you should definitely try it. However, do keep in mind that VRChat makes no exception. It is the internet, so it has the same issues and the same advantages as the internet. Advantages: you can meet people from anywhere in the world, any country, anywhere. That's good. What I mean by that, you can find the good of the internet with meeting a lot of people, and you can find the bad of the internet meeting some people that you don't want to meet. Like dating in VR has the same issues that using a dating app or using a dating website. It is the same principle, right? On my personal case, so yes, I did try it since I met my wife and through there, and I did not use any external services to try to meet people to specifically for date, because there is apps even like specific to VRChat or VR in general, like dating apps. So it's the same principle. So, but except that when you put your profile picture, you put your avatar and what your interests are in life and whatnot, but just like in any meeting apps. I didn't use any of that. I just had the I know I'm gonna sound like a lucky bitch kind of, but I just had the luck to bump into her, and through just games talks and discovering worlds in VRChat, we bonded, and yeah, afterwards we started to see each other in real life, and now we live together. Obviously, it is dating, so you will have also people with bad experience, just like you will have people with good experiences. Why, maybe the question is more like why dating in VR is different with dating like in normal dating sites. But the advantage with VR obviously is, even though again you cannot physically be there with your partner, or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want to call it, since you are inside your avatar, your character, you can, again, for people that have phantom sense, that you can have somewhat of a touch of like a sense of touch the other person can give you, obviously, and you can have perceptions of being there with them. And since we were talking about sleeping in VR, for example, sleeping in VR as a couple, it works as well. You can sleep with them, be cuddly with them, be with them, even though obviously it's VR and you can have the distance and whatnot. But it allows you to have a certain proximity, I guess, that you cannot have in normal dating apps. or dating websites, or just like dating in general with just a video call and whatnot. But again, I don't have a lot of experience on dating apps, but I'm guessing you can do all the stuff with it as well. At the end of the day, you're limited to your screen, right? Which is within VR, especially if you have all the equipment to move your body in VR, like I can move my legs, etc. Obviously, that's not standard. You have to have more stuff to do that, but that's my point. My point is I'm more immersed into this world. And if I'm dating someone inside VR, I can do activities with her, go to dates, like we can go to virtual dates and whatnot, stuff that obviously you cannot do with a normal dating app. Completely go to any game world, or there's a beautiful worlds in VR to even show. Even today, my wife is still playing VR a bit less than when we were dating, but she's still playing. And sometimes I just bring her back into VR to just show her a wonderful world that I saw and that I discover, and just wonderful lights and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of ideas that you can have for dating in VR. But obviously, just like any kind of online dating, you can have bads and goods. But that's life.